Good to see everyone. I hope you guys are doing well today. My name is Bazal Morani. I'm the CEO of Empire Central Financial, and we'll be getting started in just a moment. We're just giving everyone a chance to log in. I see a few people trying. I know today's internet is a little tough. Hopefully we can all get on and get started. Just so you get a little idea of what we'll be talking about today, I wanted to talk a little bit about estate planning, why we have estate planning, what's the benefits, what is incorporated within an estate plan, and how Empire Central Financial can help you with your estate planning needs. Just to get started, once again, my name is Bazal Morani. I'm the CEO of Empire Central Financial. I have my MBA. I work in the financial industry with financial planning, and you'll get to learn a little bit more about me, the company, and estate planning today. So let's get started. Okay. So this is our team. That's me, Bazal Morani. I am the Chief Executive Officer. And then my dad happens to be our Senior Advisor and Tax Specialist. He's a CPA. And our mission is to provide personalized financial services and strategies that empower individuals, families, and businesses to achieve their long-term financial goals in an ever-evolving financial landscape. Laws change, tax laws change, estate planning laws change. It's always super, super important to make sure that we keep on track with that and we are updating our estate plan, our legacy plan, and our goals based on that. Now, the issue is that we all have very busy lives and it's hard to keep track of everything. And that's why you have financial experts like us that help keep track and keep you updated as you navigate through life. So a little quick overview of our services. Here at Empire Central Financial, we provide disability income insurance and business expense insurance for business owners. Disability income insurance, basically, I would like you to understand just a little bit, is basically say, okay, I got into a car accident for saying, I was driving to work, some crazy driver just came and hit me and I got badly injured. Or, the truck drivers can be a little messy over here sometimes. So maybe a truck driver came and hit me and I was disabled for a little bit. I got injured, I hurt my leg or something, and I just can't come to work for whatever reason. So disability insurance covers my income that I'm missing out on while I'm out on disability leave. And this helps me with two of three things. One, it's helping me pay the bills, right? I need my bills to keep being paid even if I'm unable to work. The bills don't stop because my working has stopped or my ability to work has stopped. So disability income covers that aspect of things. It also covers the sense of security. If I'm unable to come back to my work and my field of expertise, it covers the difference between what I am able to do and what I'm getting paid versus what I would have been getting paid if I stayed in the industry that I was in before the injury. Now, the other thing is if I'm not able to ever get back into work, it protects my income for the rest of my life until that, depending on what type of policy you get. And if you come into our office, we usually give you a wonderful illustration with the great software that we have that can show you exactly what it looks like. Business expense insurance does the exact same thing as disability insurance, but for your business. So if you get disabled, that same car accident, I'm a business owner, my business still has bills, I still have employees that need payroll. The business expense insurance covers that aspect of things and the utilities and bills for my business, including any other reoccurring expenses that is monthly. Now, what this plays in financial stability is it makes sure that you have an income flow in times of crisis, right? And that does tie into, of course, estate planning. Now, if you want to know a little bit more about income protection side of things and retirement planning side of things, go ahead and set up an appointment and we'd love to talk to you a little bit more about your goals. But for today specifically, we're going to talk about asset protection and estate planning. So what is the purpose of legacy planning or estate planning? First of all, a lot of us have children, a lot of us have future generations that we want to plan for and protect. And so this is securing your assets for those future generations and making sure that the money and the assets go to the people you want them to go to. It also minimizes tax liabilities and makes sure the transaction is very smooth and easygoing. In the past, one of the biggest issues that people had when it came to transferring assets to the future generations was, one, they were paying really high taxes because they weren't structured right, and two, the beneficiaries of those assets didn't really know what to do or what the process was to take on those assets, which made it complicated and caused a lot of issues for them. And then, of course, probate process. The thing about the legal system is, yes, everyone thinks that because it's a common state that your spouse will automatically get something. Unfortunately, that process still goes through probate. So they have to have proof of marriage. They have to have proof that you guys are still married. Then they'll take months and months, and they'll take tons of your assets to pay for the process, that by the time that your family actually gets what's left, there's not much left, and estate planning protects you from that aspect of things. Now, what kind of strategies are we using? Estate planning ensures it's passed on smoothly. And what we use is My Legacy Log software, which is a very easy to use, easy to understand software. And our team is dedicated to guiding you and making sure that you understand how the software works. We have legal teams and attorneys that have put the documents together to make sure it's worded properly. It's very easy, click and go kind of system. So all you do is input the information, and it's just selection boxes after that. And it goes so smoothly. And then on top of that, once you are done creating your plan, we also guide you through actually putting in your assets into that trust. So what people a lot of times misunderstand is that once you create the trust, the document, that it's automatically protected everything, but it hasn't. You still have to put things into the trust. So your trust is actually your safe box. It's your security deposit box. And then you have to actually put stuff into the security deposit, right? So you're going to have to take your house, say you want to protect that. So you're going to have to transfer the ownership of the house from you personally to the trust so that the trust owns the house, and then the beneficiaries will get the house through the trust. And then and what that does is it protects your assets, and it's protects it from risks and unforeseen circumstances. Now, revocable trust and irrevocable trust are different in that aspect, and I'll kind of explain why you start off with the revocable trust, which turns into an irrevocable one after death, and I will explain why that's super important in this case. Now, fun fact, 56% of Americans do not have an estate planning document in place. I'm guessing if you're attending this event, either you are not sure whether your estate planning documents are up to date or accurate, or if you're missing documents, or you also don't have one. And only 23% of American adults over the age of 50 have a trust. And a lot of people don't know whether a trust is right for you. And we will kind of discuss that today and help you guide you through that process. Now, what we have with Legacy Log and the solutions that we have for you. The legal and tech experts within Legacy Log have a software where attorneys and software engineers have created and developed this system for you for the purpose of making it easy for you to create your estate plans. And what we do is give you that personal experience and assistance in the process. We will help you notarize your documents. We will make sure your documents are transferred. We'll make sure you're getting all the right information, and we're asking you the right questions to make sure you're filling in the documents properly. The online experience is very easy and it's super accessible. You can do it at home. However, what we do is we guide you and we help you and make it seamless and effortless and make sure that the final processes, the parts that aren't online, are done, and you have the document scan. We'll give you a nice little folder for your estate plan that you can keep at home, but you also have online access to your estate plan as well. And then you have, again, like I mentioned, the 24/7 secure document access and a comprehensive solution, which covers all the different aspects of estate planning. And that also means funeral rights and wishes and last messages to your family, because sometimes you just want to leave a little message for your family. And so what is in the personalized plan? Now, an estate plan has a whole lot of different aspects. It's not just a trust, it's not just a will, it is a whole collation of things. So you have your revocable living trust, so that's your actual trust, where you're putting all your documents and your assets in for safekeeping. Then you have your living will and advanced medical directives. The living will is mostly to kind of take care of whatever is not there. And then advanced medical directives is to make sure that if you want to be, I guess, have CPR done on you, and if you want to have anything taken care of, or if you don't, and you want to be, let nature takes its course, then you actually put that into a document so that your doctors have and they know. So that's your HIPAA statement, and that's what that does. Then you have your last will and testament. So this is called your pour over will. And the reason why it's called the pour over will, it's anything that wasn't put in the trust in the time of you living that you now have as an asset will then be covered in the will of who that goes to. Uh, However, keep in mind that because it's not in the trust, it will go through probate. So anything in the last will and testament in the pour over will still go into probate. However, it will make sure that everything is covered. And then you have your certificate of trust and your durable power of attorneys. You have your durable financial power of attorney, your healthcare power of attorney, and your agent notice. And then we have the funding kit, and I'll explain that a little bit as we go forward. And if you have questions throughout the presentation, please feel free to put it in the questions in the Q&A section, and I will answer at the end. I know I'm covering a lot of information today, so we do want to make sure we're answering all your questions. So now, why do we not like probate, right? First of all, the court decides who receives your assets. So say you had a will and you didn't have a trust, and you put in your will that child A gets 50% of your assets and child B gets maybe 40% of your assets and child C gets 10% of your assets. Well, child C didn't like that so much and goes, well, that will is old, and my dad said later, or my mom said later, that that's not what I want. Now, probate's going to decide whether that's accurate or not, whether the will stands or not. And that takes a longer process and takes away money from both the beneficiaries and the assets that you're pouring down to them. Now, your private matters are also becoming public record. So now everybody knows how much assets you have, how much money you have, and that puts a target on your family's back if you have a lot, right? And even if you don't have a lot, everybody knows how much you have now and how much your family has. And the family has to wait months before receiving assets, and sometimes even years. So right now, so normally the average probate can take about 12 months, but after COVID, there's such a huge backlog that's anywhere from 18 to 2, 3 years, 18 months to 2, 3 years that it's taking to get probate done. And that's assuming that we don't have another incident that causes another backlog, right? And then if you have your assets in multiple states, because probate is from state to state, you're going to have multiple probate. So say you have a house in Texas and you're going through probate for that house in Texas, right? Then you have another asset, say in New York. Then New York has a completely different wait time and a completely different probate process. And you're now doing both of them, and your family is now having to stress through every single process in both states and having to go back and forth to go to the courts and talk to the judges, and it's just a huge mess. And there is a way to prevent it. So this is how we're going to talk about it, right? And then the thousands of dollars in costs and fees. You're paying for the attorney, you're paying for the court fees, you're paying for all the different processes. And then if there is a dispute, then paying for that. It's just a mess. It's so much easier to just have everything planned and protected. A living trust solves these issues, and it creates a separate entity which will outlive you because it is a secure safeguard system, and it eliminates the need for the court because the trust is separate from the government, and you have a trustee that will implement everything, so you no longer need the court to make decisions for you or implement things for you. And it's private because you don't, it's not a government issued thing, so it's not public record. Everything's taken care of privately and securely for your family. What is the benefits of a trust, right? Legal documents that create a new entity. which is nice. And then it funds your assets into the trust, right? You own and control the trust while you're alive, which means you can make changes. So say you owned another asset, you put it in. Say you sold an asset that was in the trust and then you remove that. And it's just an ongoing, maybe you have a beneficiary that passed away, or you have a beneficiary that um, you know, are no longer with. So if you got a divorce and your wife was a beneficiary or your husband was a beneficiary and you got a divorce and you want to make sure they're no longer getting your assets, then you remove them and you put someone else in. That option is still there. And those changes cannot be made after you pass because they will that revocable trust will automatically be turned into an irrevocable one. Specify what happens to the assets after you die. Who gets what percentage? Do they get a lump sum after you pass away? Do they get a monthly allowance after you pass away? So say if you have a child with special needs or a family member with special needs that is a beneficiary, you can actually mark that and create a special needs trust for them that either pays automatically to a caretaker to pay for their caregiving, or they just get a monthly allowance to help care for whatever needs that they have. So revocable, which means it could be taken away or changed while alive, right? So the last will in testament is often called the pour-over will that we had discussed, and it goes together hand in hand with the revocable living trust so that you can convey anything you have forgotten and in your trust and before you pass away, so that it can go over, which is why it's called the pour over will for anything that hasn't been put into the trust. And it's any unfunded assets that will go through probate. So unless they're minimal in value, which basically means if it's like jewelry, if it's maybe a collection of things. So if it's like a card collection, a stamp collection, a coin collection, those things are minimal in value, and so they don't have to go through probate first. However, if it's like a house, if it's a real estate, if it's a business, then that will have to go through probate first in the pour over will. Okay, so now there are two different power of attorney, sorry, for finances and for healthcare. Durable means that the appointment of the power will endure your incapacitation. It will endure even after your incapacitation. Now, this just means that you're incapable of making the decision for yourself. So if you are in a coma, or if you are just unable to verbally or physically consent to any kind of medical or financial situation, or take action on any medical or financial situation, this person is a person you are saying you trust to make those decisions in your behalf. So for example, my own personal power of attorney for medicals is my dad, because I know that my dad understands what my beliefs when it comes to making medical decisions is, and I know that he will respect of this decision. So while he may want to keep me alive as long as possible, he knows that I would not want to suffer. And so I know that if I give him that power and to make that decision on my behalf, he will respect my decision rather than his own. And so he's my medical power of attorney. He also happens to be my financial power of attorney, mostly because he's a CPA and we're all in the financial industry. So I know he's not going to send my money where it doesn't need to go. He can take care of my bills that way, and he has access to my bank accounts when it's necessary. And that's what your financial power of attorney will do, is when you're not able to make those decisions or pay those bills or do whatever, that person is your trusted person to have access to those areas and the right to use those in your behalf in that situation. Now, there's two options. One can be effective date of execution, which means even if you're able to make your own decision, you are giving them the right to make the decision in your behalf, so they can override your decision. Or only if you're incapacitated and cannot make your own decision will they come in. And you have that choice within the document itself to make sure you get to choose. Okay, the durable power of attorney for finances will give you your appointed agent, as I mentioned, the basic financial decisions regarding assets not funded in your trust. So if it's already in the trust, your trustee is handling that. And that money is already with the trustee and they already have the authority. So this is anything that's not in your trust. So this might be a personal bank account for your business. It might be something else that you didn't put in your trust, and that's what they're managing. And that agent will be able to use that power to buy and sell non-trust assets. So anything outside, they can write checks, from your account, and if they have to fund assets into your trust to avoid probate, then they can do that. So if they're saying, okay, hey, she's not going to make it, then your financial power of attorney can take all your finances that aren't in the trust and make sure it's put in before you pass away, so it doesn't have to go through probate. And that will help you through that situation, right? Now for healthcare. Now it allows you to appoint agents to make important healthcare decisions, like I mentioned. So falling into a coma, as I mentioned, it can create a little bit of a tension in the family, right? Now, the issue is that when it comes to healthcare decisions, like someone being in a coma and keeping them alive or not, they usually will ask the whole family to come up with a unanimous decision. So say you have a family member that you know knows what that you don't want to be kept alive when you're in a vegetated state and are not going to recover, but everybody else is a little more emotional and they want to keep you alive. Well, Texas, unless everyone, for example, there are other states that are the same. I'm just using Texas as an example. If not everyone is agreeing to let you pass, Texas is a pro-life state, so they'll keep you alive even if only one person disagrees with you being having the plug pulled. So you want to make sure you're trusting someone, and that one person is the only person that's required to there to make that decision. You can have a backup power of attorney for healthcare. So if this person's not available, the second person takes over, and make sure you're talking to those people and making sure that they're okay with being that person for you, appointed person for you. Make sure they have the document, make sure your doctors have that document, so that it can be taken into effect. Now you're living will and advance directives. They allow you to determine how your medical care administrator, if you're, is going to behave if you have a terminal illness or are in a comatose state. So these will serve your medical professionals a chance and a guideline of what to do in these situations and what your wishes are. So again, these are your directives. So this is outside of what your power of healthcare. This comes first, power of healthcare comes second. So anything that's not directed in this specifically, that's where your power of healthcare, power of attorney in healthcare will step in and make those decisions. Now let's talk a little bit more about our software. I just want to show you a little bit about what you get and what it looks like, right? So you get a online document, and then we'll scan it, we'll print it, we'll notarize, sign, finalize everything. So remember, once you finish this, this is not your finalized document. You do have to sign and notarize. We have an in-house notary for you that will do that for you. We will have witnesses in office that will be your witness signatures. So we'll take care of all of that for you. We will scan it back onto your software. And then once that's done, you have it on your software, and we will have a physical copy for you as well. So it's an easy platform, and it will walk you through the process, which is really nice. And it tells you what each little section is. So the yellow section is where you put all the information in. The blue section is kind of just, check marking, selecting based on what you put in the yellow. And then your funding kit and schedules and signing, it's red because it requires the most work. But as you can see, it's mostly blue. And then document vault, amending the trust, and all of that is just review and being able to have access. And you also have online videos and printed guides for any aspects. So if you have more questions on estate planning, and of course, we are available 24/7 for that as well. Now, your secure document vault. This is the signed copies of all your documents, and you have all 24/7 access to it. So we will go through what you filled out. We will generate the document. We will print it out. We will sign it, notarize it, sit through it, go through all the questions you have, upload the new documents with the sign and notary. So that's your official documents that are legalized and done. And now you have full access to it. But remember, having the signed documents does not mean that your assets are in the trust. It just means that your estate plan is ready. You still have to put the assets and fund the trust in the estate plan. And we will guide you through that process too. So the online platform walks you through the process, which is great, and can create the documents within about an hour. Actually, we've had clients that have it done within 40 minutes. So it depends on how many assets you have, and how many beneficiaries, and how complicated your situation is, and how, based on that, it will tell you how long it takes. But it is actually pretty easy, and you can see we collect your information, your trust provisions, we find out how many children you have, how old they are, what distribution options do you want? Do you want them funded right away? Do you want them in increments? What roles each people play, who's your trustee. You can add organizations and people. So if you want to add a charity for your trust, that 50% of my assets go to this charity, and then the rest goes to my family. You can do that too. If you have a estranged family member that you don't want, so if a disinheritance or whatever, then you can put that in there. Your beneficiary selection can be put in. If there's a divorce and stuff, we'll change that, of course, and go in. And then your guardian selection. So if you have children under age or someone with special needs and they need someone to be a caretaker, you can also have the guardian selected of who you would have them go to in that situation. And then the specified bequests, just situations. Maybe this is my funeral arrangement that I would like. This is how I would like it done. I would like to be cremated. I would like to be buried, whatever it is. And then you have other options as well. Again, like I mentioned, the special needs provision in your trust. So if you have someone that's disabled, you will just mark that. You'll put their name, their date, and we will actually work through their payment plan. And it could either go income only to them, or it could go to whatever caretaker that will need to take care of them. Now, the online funding kit actually tracks the assets in the funding, which is great. So everything you have, you will be putting it in here, which will also help you keep track to make sure that you are actually putting your assets into the trust and making sure that the trust owns it rather than you personally, so that it doesn't go through probate. So this helps you keep track of all of that. So what kind of vehicles do you have? And then make sure the vehicle ownership goes to the trust instead of you. Then you have liability, your insurances, all of that will come into your trust. Not necessarily needed for life insurance and stuff, but you can also keep track of all your estates and all your documents. And it'll help you guide you through making sure, and we will help you through that process too, to make sure everything is funded and protected from probate. So it's professional, it's created by attorneys, it's well documented, and it's a complete peace of mind. Right now it's done. Now I don't have to worry about my family. Now people fear death, not because of death itself, but because of the people you're leaving behind. And your estate plan helps make sure to know that your family, your loved ones are protected in that situation. And so you know that you're taken care of. Now, if you would like to sign up, if you would like to get your estate plan done, please go ahead and register today, and we would be more than happy to help you. Thank you so much for coming. Have a great day, guys.